You know, I've done all my videos, all of them, today. I had an update for you for the whole way the horses raced yesterday, how a couple of horses were this morning. I just wasn't on my game. That was the rain. I hate the rain for some reason. It bugs me. Was it the rain? Was it the fighting with James, or was it something else? It didn't feel like it was super close to home. It was so weird because I got a call from my mother yesterday that a nice guy. Now, for those of you who are in racing or maybe around the East Coast, I'm sure you know the name Ken Oakes. Really good guy and a huge friend of horse racing. He got killed in a car accident yesterday in Prince Edward Island. And I don't know anybody that would ever say a bad word about the guy, and I know his son Nick very well. Was that bothering me? I couldn't put my finger on it all day. I just was in a funk, which, as you know, I rarely am. And then I had a gentleman message me a minute ago and say that one of our old employees, Ron, many of you, if you've been to the barn, definitely back when we were at Tamiko, you'd remember old Ron. Looked like the quintessential crotchety old man, and he'd passed away also. So I don't know if that's the stuff that was bothering me or not, but I just was in a funk, and I'll be honest, I did all your videos today. I'm going to redo them all tomorrow because there just wasn't a lot of life in them, and for the run that we're on, and regardless, the Chicago Hall thing bothered me and it bothers me, but the horse will be fine. And whether James is angry or not, that will pass. But I wrote a note to somebody today. No, I'll tell you exactly who it was. It was Harry Polt. And Harry and James are very like-minded, and which makes them almost the opposite of me. But I think it's a great mix. And I tried to explain to Harry, and I've tried to explain to James a million times, that we have good results with the horses we have. And I train our horses with the mentality of a football coach, right? And I take to the barn the lessons that were instilled into me when I was a kid. And I expect our horses to work hard and do their job the same as I do. And what I tell my kids is that if you want to get ahead in life, you simply have to work harder than the other people around you. So when it comes to working the horses hard, Harry and James take a softer, different approach, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what I try to tell everybody, is that there is nothing wrong with that. The beauty of this game is that all that matters, truthfully speaking, right? The stable.ca isn't about earnings, right? None of you should, nor have, for that I can tell, for the most part, buy horses with us to earn money. Although at the end of the day, we all want to win races, right? And the beauty about this game is that you can do that a million different ways. I've seen people win races that, and I'll be completely blunt with everybody, that I don't probably have a lot of respect for, that I don't think in the racing world. As far as human beings, I'm sure they're fine, but people that I don't think put the effort in they should, and yet still have good results. And then there's other people that I see work their butts off their whole life and have bad results. It's mind-boggling. But much like I like to draw comparisons sometimes, and much like my son trying to learn how to pitch properly or hit properly, you can't deviate from what got you to who you are. I can't become James on the track if I wanted to. I can't change who I am to become more like Harry and James in the barn, because then it wouldn't be me anymore, would I? Now, this is obviously a more softer and a subdued Anthony, but this has been bothering me all day long, and I couldn't really put my finger on it. And after hearing the message about Ron, and after sending a message to James that didn't have an abundance of F's and U's in it. I do feel a lot better today. Now, the sun also did come out. Did that play a role? Probably. I was worried I was going to have to stop making my video, but I remember somewhere there's a drive-through for this Starbucks. I'm going to guess it's on the other side of the building. And that's another thing. I had no Starbucks today. Did that play a role? Mentally, who knows? But I do feel a little sharper right now as I get ready to go race Victory Blue Chip. I feel a lot sharper than I did just a couple hours ago. So I do want to talk about, I am going to redo every single video that we have because I want to, because I think I should. And I do want to go over the horses real quick that raced yesterday, because a day of reflection wasn't just personal. It wasn't just me. It was me thinking about the burn, thinking about myself, thinking about everything that's going on. And although I was thoroughly impressed with the entire week, we did obviously have our shortcomings. How can't you? We raced like 50 horses this week, or 40 horses this week. Just a second.
Hey, thanks for choosing Starbucks. How are you?
Great. I got a mobile order there, ma'am, for Anthony.
Anthony, yeah, let me check on that.
I already know it's there. You don't need to check on it. Anyway, my...
We have that. We'll scan the window.
Thank you, dear. My take on the horses was very simple. Now, this video is about yesterday. It's 6 minutes, obviously, about me telling you, I was in a bit of a funk today, and that there was some bad news attributed to that. Did that bother me or not? It's all done with. I do want to talk about the horses, so I'm going to run through them quick. My 2 cents on the horses, because this, the feeling I have right now, or that I had before, it didn't start this morning. It bothered me last night, and I'm sure Chicago Hall played a big role in that, and some other horses did too as well. Michigan stuff is bothering me when I get messages from you saying, Anthony, what is wrong with the horses? Can you go drive them? 1, I can't answer that, and 2, that's a little unfair. It'd be like, a pitcher having a bad first inning and the coach coming out and taking the ball from him. It happens. But man, it's a tough decision and not something you see very often. So let's go through what took place yesterday. Manhattan Money, as I said, I went over the video again, and I believe we're going to maybe lighten him up and take those flip-flops off of him. Now, the problem with doing that is there's a stake race coming up, and we don't know what's proper until you're in it, right? You can't go out and train a mile in 25 and say, perfect, it's way better like that. You got to go a quarter in 29 seconds. You might even have to string 2 together. Might have to string 4 together if you can, or a variation of those 4. So when I look at him, I believe he'll be fine. He takes his job very seriously. Very unique horse. I don't know. I'll be completely honest with everybody. Hi, thank you. I don't know that I've ever had a horse like Manhattan Money. He can be the sweetest, nicest horse, and then flip a switch and be as mean as a wasp sometimes. And but when he's on the track, he's learned to do his job properly, and that is the most important thing. So for my partners out there with Manhattan Money, is a nice horse. We will start him in the Stallion Series. We are going to make a few little changes, I believe, after talking to Tim. A few little changes up front, and see how he goes. He's a great guy. This is a totally different situation and a frustrating one in its own sense, isn't it? Big, good-looking, strong colt. In fact, I could easily be talking about either one of those colts, and you may not know the difference by looking at them. Both big, strong colts. Grape, I believe, would be categorized as a horse that would likely make a really good racehorse. But it's going to take some time for him to hit his best stride. And how long, so what I'm always left looking at is how long will it take to make that best stride? And this is all guesstimation, right? There's no approximation in what we do as trainers or drivers a lot of the time. How good will it take? How good is he now? Where do we need him to be? And how long will it take to get in, to fill that gap, right? To get to the other side. And when it comes to Grape, I like the colt. I respect the fact that he felt to me that he went out and did as much as he could yesterday, but I also am aware that they may not be enough. So there are a couple of horses that are going to be leaving our stable over the next few weeks. I'm not going to say for certain that Grape is one of them, but he would be penciled in on the list, I think, right now. And I don't think there's anybody out there. I know that there's going to be people out there that say, well, Anthony, you only gave him one race. I'm not saying he's not going to make a racehorse, but what I am saying is, do you want to see this through to the end? Do you want to see this through to when he is under the umbrella of that's an effective horse? Because that could be a long ways down the road. And I've chased a lot of those umbrellas, right? I've kept all. You look at a horse like Brace for Landing, still has not found his best stride, in my opinion. But will we ever see it, or do I just keep telling you that? He's an elusive horse. He'll go out and show you flashes of, you could almost trick yourself into thinking, geez, that's an open trotter. And then you'll go and race him another time and say, man, that horse raced like crap. That's not a very effective horse. But that goes to timing and classification also, and you guys know that. So when it comes to he's a great guy, I'm just not quite sold yet on the fact that he's going to be an effective horse for us in 2024. Now, a horse I am sold on completely is Rose Run AJ. We've known this for a while. The only concern we've ever had from Rose Run AJ is he going to be what we categorize sometimes? It's a little blunt and rude, but cheap speed, right? And what I mean by cheap speed is a horse that is fast, carries their speed, but when push comes to shove and you get into those late rounds of a fight, are they going to show up? And most of the time when you have really hot horses, they don't. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Our staff has turned this horse into being a suspect of having cheap speed to a horse that has some class to him now. The horse that I drove yesterday, you can do anything you want with that horse. Yes, it took a multitude of bits, driving bits and gear to get him there. He's there now. He was awesome yesterday, and I was thoroughly impressed with his output, and he'll be a nice horse for us. Collector S continues to do his work well. Very, very happy with him. I didn't realize he was up a class until yesterday. If he's up a class, truthfully speaking, that means that there is an opening now for a horse like Brace for Landing to make his way to Kentucky now, or to Ohio. The reason I say this is because it's an optional 50 claimer. Brace is still 4. He'd go for 62.5. That's more than he's worth, quite frankly. You're not getting an offer on any market of that magnitude for Brace right now. I don't think that, as much as I like the horse, we have to try and do our best to get some consistency into him, and we have to help him out. Look no further than where he is this week. The race that I won with him was suspect, right? He paid a lot of money, but he was a player. The next week, James drove the horse fine, finished 5th, close, but back to that old close but no cigar type feeling. Now you look at this week, and he's just buried. And this is a time when I'm not blaming Mohawk. It's not Mohawk's fault. He's up where he belongs, and it's tough. It's the way it is. But we have an opportunity to put him in a better class, and that may come to fruition very, very soon, actually. Kado, I know, I was surprised I didn't get more emails from people asking, is Kado really going to be our next generation horse, a horse that trotted 2-2 and got beat last night? Yes. Because I haven't shown you, I didn't drop the hammer on Kado, right? Last night was a formality. I just wanted him a race. Sure, I thought he'd win. But we were trotting pretty good from the head of lane to the wire. That qualifier in 2 minutes last half, 58 apiece, 29. Although it wasn't, oh my God, I think he'll trot in 56 next week. It was a sparkling mile. He did his work very, very well. And I was really impressed with the way he did it. And I know there is a lot of our clients. I love getting emails from every different point of view, and I get a different one all the time. Joel, one of my partners on Kado, all the time, he never wants to see the horses raced over their head, which I agree. But when it comes to stake racing, that's a little bit different, isn't it? And Kado is as tough as you ever play squash? Those little blue balls? That's like Kado. He's tough as a little squash ball. He'll bounce back, and bounce back. He raced great last night. There's nothing to bounce back from. He does a great qualifier, did his work perfectly, and did his work great yesterday. Remember, left, followed, sat in the 2-hole, come up the inside. He did everything we need him to do. And I just don't see speed being a problem. Maybe if they go him 55, he'll be out-trotted, fine. I can tell you what, there'll be 6 or 7 other ones out trotted also. But I just think that Kado has done enough to make his way to the top of that heap. That heap's a little soft, the Colt division. And Joel pointed out a very good thing. He said, wouldn't it make more sense just to sell the Colt one? Not really. I don't want to sell the Colt one. I don't think he's going to be embarrassed. I think the horse will race well. I haven't seen any Colts out there where I've seen them race. I'm like, wow, that is a killer. I just haven't seen any. I've seen some nice horses. There's lots of nice horses. But keep in mind, the one thing you have to do also when you're racing in those races is don't break rule number 1 and put yourself in a position to win. If you do that, then you have a shot with any horse, right? Especially a 2-year-old trotter. Blue Ventura was great yesterday. Another horse, much like Rose Run AJ, has shown his deficiencies training down, where he was hot, little wiry, pull and lug on you. Yesterday, he was a little grabby yesterday, but manageable, understanding his work, and he paced his ass off down the lane. Those were 2 very good horses that were in a position to win. I would have to simply outpace those 2 horses of Ron Burke's yesterday to beat them. It was a tall order. Our horses were not let down at all. They raced amazingly. Very proud of the way they both raced yesterday. Texong Soprano continues to race great. Just Megan and Scott do such a good job with this horse. You know, and it just goes to show you the one horse Scotty buys into is a horse that just seems to punch the register every single week. Good for him. I mean, and good for Megan. I love being able to have good horses with good people, right? Not only does it elevate the stable's credibility, because it does, but it also makes me feel good that, you know, we have such hardworking, good people that are associated with the burn. And then it brings me to the point of contention for the evening, which was the 2 Ontario trotters, which led to a bit of a heated argument. I knew it was going to happen with James, and I had a lot of people message me, say, I hope you and James are all right. Listen, I grew up with 5 brothers. At the very least, you know, if you wanted to settle your differences and get over it, it might come to blows. It's just the way it is. But it never, ever, no, it has. But not with James, no. No, I don't ever remember getting in a fist fight with James. Wrestling matches, yes. Fist fights, no. And the reason that James and I fight so much about this, and it was pointed out by Megan of all people today, and not to take anything away from Megan, but it's because James cares, right? And when James sees me do something that he sees as an error, he points it out. That isn't somebody picking on you or making fun of you. That's somebody who cares about you and wants to see you succeed. Now, the problem I have with the whole thing, and this is something that I think you learn a little bit later, maybe in life or in racing, is that, as I said in my opening, there's a million ways to get this industry, to get the job done, right? To get to the winner's circle, to have success. And although I don't have the resume of a top trainer, I think we do pretty good across the board with racehorses and with 2-year-olds. And James just wants to see us do better. And he saw last night as an error. He saw the qualifier as an error, which I did not, and I still do not. I think the horse will bounce back. But that doesn't turn this into a I told you so situation, or you're right, I'm wrong. You're only truly wrong in this industry when the race is posted official, right? Whether you moved out of a hole when you shouldn't have, whether you put your horse in the front, whether your fractions were too hot or too slow. No matter what you do, it's always judged after the official light comes on. And unfortunately, we have to take that with a grain of salt, right? When looking at how you got to where you are, or the results of the race, you need to take everything into consideration. So there's much more to it than just hindsight, and I told you so. So I think in that regard, everybody should or could agree. Century Legion, I apologize. I know Patricia probably was throwing herself watching the race last night, as was Daryl, one of the major owners in Century Legion, and all I can say to both of them is he is a 2-year-old colt. He has exhibited speed. We did do vet work on him today, and if I can get to Ontario on Friday, which I think I can, now I will make this commitment to the partners of Century Legion. I'm racing Thursday afternoon in Scioto or Thursday afternoon in the Meadows, one or the other. They don't race at night because it's July the 4th. Big day in Ohio, in the United States, as you know. commit to finishing the races and driving back to Ontario, qualifying Century Legion, getting in the car and driving to the Meadows for Friday night's races. Why, some people may ask, is because, as I just told you in the start of this video and as I preach to my children, you get out of this industry what you put into it, and you have to work harder than the people around you. And if I have time to go and do that, that's exactly what I will do. 3-point blue chip. Again, you can't read into text messages too much, but I felt like the message I got from Tom last night maybe was like, hey man, if you move that horse, he wins. You're right, he would have. I just think that we were on such a roller coaster with 3-point blue chip, such a nice horse at Tumen, meant so much to the stable, so many people in the stable, and then to have him get injured at 3 and just disappear was heartbreaking for a lot of people. Both because you're involved in a great horse and also financially speaking, it was heartbreaking. But it happens, right? We've had horses fracture bones and come back, fracture bones and not come back. But when I watched 3-point blue chip race at Oak Grove and trying to get back into the swing of things, back into his old form, it was frustrating. And nobody to blame them. I have to keep reminding everybody to be off that long and then just start back up. It takes a long time to get into that top form. That's if you'll ever get there again, but it takes a long time. And 3-point blue chip is a special type of horse in the sense that not generally my type of horse, right? Usually I like to race the horses aggressive, you know that. Not this guy. I know what he's like. I've seen this play out at 2. You have to race him. He will set out strict parameters. This is how I will allow you to race me. And if you stray outside those lines, I want to talk about disappointment. It'll let you know real quick. But when you play within those boundaries, man, oh man, he's got some talent. He can fly. And I just thought where I was, I would get out. As it turned out, he got a little nip and tuck, a little hairy late in the mile anyway, with Hunter. Depending on the eyes viewing it, it might have been viewed as his interference. But it was tight, and once he got through, man, for a horse, you're not talking about the last 8th or 16th. Try the last 10 yards of the race. He went from 4th to 2nd, and happily would have run down the leader had the finish line been another 10 feet away. Horse raced great yesterday. Very, very proud of him and where he is right now. And I think he'll either drive his way right to the Open at the Meadows, which is no joke. It's good money there. And if it turns out that maybe the fire's a little hot for him in the Open this time of year, then he can likely go to Mohawk and hang out there or anywhere. He is very, very good right now. I would be surprised if he didn't make his way to the Open and do very well in the Open at the Meadows. He's just a nice horse, and he's really coming along nicely. And the race last night, albeit, yes, in hindsight, as we talked about, if I had come first over, I am a winner. I would have buried them last night. But I'll bury them next week. How's that? And then JK Victory, old even Steven, went out and raced good again, finishing 2nd at 49. He's just quietly put up great numbers and been very, very good since we bought him for the most part. Yeah, he got off to a slow start in Ontario, but found his game back where he was born and where he raced in Indiana. So I'm glad that's all worked out. And that was yesterday. Today I jogged Melisandre. She was good. A lot of people asking where she is. Told everybody we're just going to try and have her at Toronto, a couple of the other horses ready. Captain Incredible, ready for Lexington, Kentucky. Now that doesn't mean when the doors open they'll be the first one through the lead shank, but that's our plan, is to have them there and racing for the latter part of the summer into the fall. Tonight I'm on my way right now to drive Victory Blue Chip and a number of horses here at Northfield Park. We have 7 horses racing tonight starting at 6:44, and I'll talk to you about them probably on my way home to Brunswick. But for right now, a huge condolences to the Oaks family. Kent was a super, super nice man, a true gentleman, and the sport has certainly lost a huge ambassador. today in him. He passed away, I believe, 2 days ago. Yesterday maybe. So for Nick and all of Kent's other family, very sorry for your loss, and for the Braybender family, Ron's family, also sorry for their loss. Ron was a diligent and hard worker for the stable for a number of years. So I started with that. I'll end with that. I feel a lot better, and as I said, those videos I did today, going in the garbage. I'm going to do them all again. Maybe starting after Victory Blue Chips race. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful